Hi guys, welcome to the Jake and Ollie podcast. Just to warn you, this podcast does contain adult themes and strong language.
No, because this was a break. This was a break in the fourth wall monologue thing. So basically, it's like we're like in the, and then you turn to the audience. You're like, listen, okay, I'm gonna tell you lot. I'm gonna tell you lot, and what am I gonna tell you lot?
I never used to like it because I used to realise it had, like, I think it had cheese in, like because it was cheese. Yeah, but it's like cream cheese, isn't it? Yeah. Like, I used to like in my mind that's what it was though. So I never
used to get like hoisin duck wrap or like I will say did like
that's
the chicken.
Very like musical thing, like dark school vibes. That
You got it out, and my mate had bought like a snorkel thing, so he put his goggles on and he's gone, I'm gonna go down the slide like head first, and he'd gone in and he popped back out. He was like, oh my god, I just absolutely just petrified. He was like, no, it's different gravy down there, like it's off licensed ones and stuff like this. And I'm thinking, what? I was like, no, that's not. It's quite sickening.
I'm gonna be disappointed.
I'm gonna give you a 7. And hear me out. You got on an 8, and your drink was about to take you to a 10, but you really I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're not going through to judges' houses. Cheers.
Nice. Cheers.
Here's to episode 4. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to episode 4. I hope you enjoyed the last episode. We really enjoyed that one. That was a really cool one. Felt really quick, maybe because the one before that was nearly 3 days long. But
should be better quality as well.
Yeah, it should.
If you listen on Anchor, it should be better quality from our new microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my brother's microphone
Yeah.
is that I use.
Thank you. Cheers,
So,
Ben.
let us know. Give us some feedback.
Yeah.
If it is better quality, then that would be good to know.
Yeah, that'd be really good to know.
It was a bit of a headache, wasn't it?
It was, but the intro should also sound a little bit better if you picked up on that. So yeah, cool. We've got a starter question today, which I actually found from another podcast, and I was like, that is such a good one.
But it's a very common one, isn't it?
It is a common one. It could be spoken about anywhere, anytime, but I do love it, and I think I've got a 10 out of 10.
You think so?
I do. So the question is, what is your go-to meal deal? So I've listened to some and it was like, they kind of really took the mick with it. They were picking it from here, there and everywhere and just kind of, it was quite broad.
We've looked at some other people's.
Yeah. But I think we stick to a Tesco meal deal.
Oh yeah, well, there is no other.
They're
option.
talking about like off-license ones and stuff like this. And I'm thinking, what?
No, that's.
I was like, no, that's
dirty,
not. Yeah, it's quite sickening. Tesco meal deal. Even though they have put them up to £3.50 now.
Genuinely, because I didn't actually know that.
No, yeah, inflation, mate.
It's not strong in this world.
It's
government.
It's all gone to put. But yeah, unless you've got a club card. And I don't have a club card.
That's a big thing now, though, isn't it? Like, the savings are actually... This is
Oh
not
my
turning
God.
into a shopping podcast. Like two old ladies on here.
But honestly, I've seen some madness on, like, people, like, their bill will come to, like, 90 quid and they'll tap their club card, go down to like 40. I'm like, how?
It's mostly like the like electronics and stuff like that. Like you can get like a toaster like half price and stuff like that with a club card.
You can. It's crazy cool. So do you want to go first or should I go first?
I'm a little bit unprepared, so
Okay.
you go
I'll go
first.
first. Okay. So
I feel like you're like got this ready to go.
I feel like I've got this ready to go because I used to get one every week. So when I came out of college at 6 o'clock, we then had a rehearsal that started at like 7:30. So we'd go to Tesco's, get a meal deal, and run then down to where the rehearsal was. And like I could have got something else, but meal deals, Tesco was on the route. It was just cheap and it was simple, really. So I would always get the all-day breakfast because here's my thoughts: high in protein. I needed protein to like repair my muscles from 12 hours of dancing, and also you get 3. Okay, so you're getting 1.5 sandwiches.
Triple one.
Yes, it's a triple. It's not, I'm getting a little bit of awful bread with a slice of ham in it. I'm getting sausage, egg, bacon, ketchup, and a good bit of granary bread. Yeah. So that straight off to me is like sweet. My mates could have gone. I think they used to get like hoisin and duck wrap or like. I will say, did like
That's
the chicken.
very like musical theatre, like school vibes. That I can so see that. Everyone's got like coming in from their performance or for the morning. They got the feta cheese like falafel wrap, and you're like a bacon triple.
It's not. I'm actually not going to argue it. There were a few.
I can picture it.
There were a few. Yeah. So it's either that or like I do quite like chicken stuffing. I think that's quite nice. But when I go off a meal deal, I go value for money.
Oh, you're one of those?
Because you can rinse them. I've had meal deals up to £5.50 and it's come down. So essentially, I'm getting 2 for the price of 1.
That's the sort of thing you see in like the Sun newspaper, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like how to get the most expensive
There it
meal
is.
deal. But people actually love it. Like I know people that will pick stuff that they don't even like just because, like the innocent smoothies and stuff like that, just because they're like, you're like, well, this is
because an innocent smoothie. Yeah.
It's like, well,
and you're saving money. So then my drink
but you're still spending the same amount of money though.
No, you ain't. No, if I
You're
was to
getting
go
you're getting more value for it, for sure.
I'm spending £3. But I'm never walking into a shop and getting a sandwich, a side, and a drink for £3.
Yeah, but it's all of it's £3, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So whether you get like
I hear that.
all of it, you're still spending £3. So people
You just feel like you're scamming them, and it's great.
yeah, you do.
So then my drink was always innocent smoothie,
I knew you were as soon as you said that, I knew you were going to say
or if I was like I really needed like sugar, it was either energy drink or a Fanta. So they were up there. But 9 times out of 10 it was a smoothie, just because of the price.
the White Monster one.
No, it wasn't.
Because you can get like a 0 calorie,
Yeah, you
like
can.
0 sugar one now, can't you?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I was just like,
That was everyone else with the
get
falafel
the
wraps.
So I had I was like Monster or Red Bull, I think, and then I altered between my 2 sides. It was either a packet of crisps, but my packet of crisps option was very bland and basic. It was just ready salted. So I would then change that to the Duo Mars bar. Yeah, just it.
It is great, the Duo.
Big-
Any of
big
those
Mars
Duo
bar.
bars.
So I think mine overall, all day breakfast triple.
Yeah.
Then we'll go for the smoothie. Value for money wise. If not, I would probably go for the Fanta.
And what sides?
Mars bar Duo.
I would give it. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
You give it a 9. Solid. Love that.
It's purely for the fact that I don't. All of that I love, but I don't really like Mars bars.
Do you know what?
But the fact that it's a duo would make me.
Ups it.
Maybe I'm just greedy.
Right.
But the fact that it's like you can get good value for money there.
Yeah, you can.
If it was just a single Mars bar, maybe like this is really shit.
Yeah. No, I think I'd
say that's pretty solid.
I think it's a good one.
And from when I was at uni, I would have had a similar meal deal. Well, I did have a similar meal deal.
Okay, go on then.
It'd be
What's yours?
similar to you.
Okay.
It'd be these 2 people know who they are. I still like keep doing this. But we'd you'd have like an hour break in between like your practical lectures and stuff. So we'd go to Tesco's. Everyone else lived close.
Right.
Their accommodation was close by, so a lot of people just go home.
Right.
So it was quite special actually. It's one of my favourite parts of the day. We'd go to Tesco's together, sit in the library or well, it's not really a library, but the building thing, and we'd have a meal deal together. And we'd pretty much all get the same thing.
Really?
We'd start off with the triple, the all day breakfast triple.
It was the all day. I think
Purely for the fact, I think, because we were students, we were we're getting so much.
You're getting lots.
We just wanted as much food as possible.
You don't want a little ham sandwich.
That is actually a thing though, isn't it? A simple ham.
A simple ham. Do you know what I mean? And every time I look at it, I think, and it's white bread, and I'm not a fan of white bread sandwiches. I'm really not. I love a bit of white bread toast, but a sandwich, it's not for me.
But I didn't hold back in
Right.
these meal
Right,
deals. It was a calorie bomb.
It was
And now I've changed it quite a lot.
you calorie surplus.
But I probably was in a calorie surplus from this one meal deal. But I have all day breakfast, and then you get millionaire shortbread cakes.
Oh,
This is
millionaire
like,
shortbread.
that's my favourite cake anyway. So the fact that it was in the meal deal, because I was just like so greedy, to be honest. I was just like, yes,
I never knew that was in a
I
meal
need
deal.
that. Yeah, it is. I haven't seen it around here, knocking around
Right.
here, but in Bournemouth at uni, it was.
Wow.
You could get other cakes and stuff.
Millionaire
as well.
shortbreads is why I put on so much weight in lockdown. Because like my mum was just baking banana bread and millionaire shortbread, but like each night I sat there on like COD with the boys and I'd just have Coke, a can of Coke and like all these millionaire shortbreads, and I'd do like a whole batch within like 2 days.
So good.
And they're just incredible, but because they're so good you can't stop. You cannot stop eating them.
I've got such a sweet tooth as well. Like in a meal deal, I'll avoid crisps.
Yeah, so I have to be in the mood for crisps.
It just doesn't really satisfy.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't hit the spot.
No.
I like cake, things like that. If I could have that over like, I'm a main and dessert guy, you know.
Yeah.
I want the sweet.
What's your favourite cake?
I like. We've mentioned it before. I think the ultimate thing I'd have is the brownie on top of the cookie dough.
But it's in like cake.
An actual cake, probably Victoria sponge
Straight
cake.
off, just basic.
Or thanks. Or I'd have that, or a cheesecake, like lemon cheesecake.
Would ya?
With cream.
Interesting. Not a cheesecake, boy.
I never used to like it because I used to realise I used to think it had cheese in. Because it was cheese.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like cream cheese, isn't it?
Yeah. It was
But
not.
I used to,
not
like,
your
in my
cheddar.
mind, that's what it was though. So I never used to be able to eat it because I'd literally like dig my spoon into it and be like,
Just a big lump of cathedral.
yeah, I literally just think it would be like cheddar cheese. Even though I knew it wasn't, but in my mind it was. This is when I'm like little.
Right.
But you know when you do something when you're younger and you just keep it going
Yeah.
when you're an adult.
Sticks there.
Even when you know better, you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
That was me with cheesecake, but now it's one of my favourite cakes.
Fair enough.
So I would get the all day breakfast triple
With a
millionaire shortbread,
drink.
and I would get. You could get this mineral water. So you could get. It's like
You were on such a run there. You was
Honestly,
looking at a 10.
it is.
And you've really shot yourself in the foot there, mate.
It is nice. Let me try and save myself.
Okay.
I'm not
We're
feeling
talking
too
like that
optimistic,
Fiji
actually.
water we're saying.
No. It's like a vitamin water. It's called like Vita water or something. It's like 20 calories or something.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking
It's
about.
got a white label around it and a red
Yeah,
top.
I know, yeah.
Really nice though. It's proper sweet. You know like the Volvic flavoured water?
Yeah.
It's like that, but tastier.
Right.
Yeah, that was what I'd go for.
Okay. I'm going to give you...
I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm going to give you a 7. And hear me out. You were on an 8 and your drink was about to take you to a 10. But you really, really let yourself down there, mate.
I feel like
I'm
we're
sorry to
smacked
break
there.
it to you, but you're not going through to judges' houses.
I knew you were gonna say- you weren't going to say that. I was going to say that.
So the mineral water has taken you down.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
If you just
I will look to work on it.
if you'd have gone like Pepsi Max, something like that, I'd have given you a 9.
I just don't really like.
I love Pepsi Max. I drink Pepsi Max every day.
I don't really care for it.
I love it.
I'm about to drink Diet Coke, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't go out my way to pick it. But I'd drink
Right,
it. But like, if I've got all this selection in the meal,
No,
I want
yeah,
something that's
yeah.
a bit like I
Out
wouldn't
there.
normally get.
Right, okay.
That's why I would
But
get.
okay
that
then,
mineral
let me
water.
see if I can change that score. How much is that mineral water normally?
Oh, that's £17. So ridiculous. Like that.
No, it ain't. It's for like 20.
It's probably like it's probably like, I don't know, 150.
Right, okay.
Probably £1.20. Maybe.
I'll give you 7.3.
What was I on before?
7.
Right, okay. So it's just over a third of the total price of 3 items, but it's given me a little bit more.
Yeah. So not bad. But I've
Fair
won.
enough. I mean, it's not what I'd get now.
Oh,
That was like Like that was what I used to get at uni as a calorie bomb.
Go-to. That was your go-to.
That was my go-to for the longest period of time.
Right. Okay.
That's the one that sticks in my brain.
Right. That's the one.
Because we get it every week.
Right, okay.
So that's like kind of what it is.
Fair play.
But we're not going to go through all this again.
No, we're not. That's okay. Cool. So that was cool. If you guys have any meal deals that you think mine's a lot better than that, or you want to slate ours, please just send us the email. We'll talk about it. Send us an email.
Typing out an email. I am furious.
I am disgusted by your choices. But I think like little conversations like that are so great to get involved with, and if you send in your ideas, then we can talk about them as well. Mm-hmm. Cool. So today's episode is about fear and stresses. Now, if you've gathered from the last couple of episodes, I'm actually a bit of a stress head. Ollie also found that out today when I was editing, and he was just like, I was like sending him Bombay, and he was like, I'm at work, and I was like, sorry, but this is more important actually.
Just standing there with patience, telling me so much. Hold on. Me. Just need to listen to this pod clip.
So yeah, fears and stresses. Now, should we do like our own little personal ones first?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
That's the best way. Just split it up as in fears separate. So like stresses.
Yeah, we'll do fears first, then stresses. Okay, cool. So, I've gone like fears and phobias. Okay.
Right.
So I hate snakes. They like, give me the heebie-jeebies. People that like have snakes as pets
in their
like,
bedrooms.
What? Is that some sort of joke? I find that absurd. I find that absolutely absurd. Sorry about the pinging. Ollie's actually just...
Sorry.
just on a work thing at the moment while we're recording.
We're always working here.
Always working, always grinding. I would say that could come under more of a stress actually. And that. So they're more stress, I think. I also have a massive phobia of like leftover food. As in like, not that, oh my God, there's leftover food, but like if I have to touch it. So like, if I was teaching, right, and a kid, like, I don't like touching other people's food as well. They're like, can you help me open this? I'm like, ugh. Like, that's so grim. And then like, if they've left a mess and they're like, can you clean that up? I'm like, no. Like, I literally will throw up.
Mm.
Like, it really freaks me out.
Just cleaning up food.
I don't mind doing my own. Like, if I've cooked, then I'll clean up. But
you
if
like dirty pans and stuff?
Yeah, no, not like that, because I will clean that up. But like, I'm talking like, if someone's like left loads of crumbs and stuff, like, nah, it's not for me.
That reminds me, we used to go to school with someone who had a really irrational fear of crisps.
Really?
Yeah, and you would crack open a bag of Wotsits or something, and he would like.
Do you know what though?
Move to the other side.
No, but I would. I think I would with like stuff like that because they stink, man, and I can't deal with smelly foods, which gets you on to my next point. If you eat tuna, I know you do. If you ever opened it in front of me, I'd be 5 miles away from you. The stuff sends. My sister made it in the kitchen the other day, and I was just about to make my lunch. I then had to delay my lunch because I started to try and prep it. And I was just gagging, and there was people. Like, I don't. If you're cooking it fresh and I can deal with the smell for 10 minutes, fine.
What do you mean when it's like sat in a sweaty rucksack?
When you've taken that to work, and it's sat there all day, or like when I used to go to college and everyone's like, I've got tuna and sweet corn pasta. I'm like, ugh, and it stinks the common room out. It's on a hot, sweaty summer's day. I've just come out of a sweaty jazz class. The last thing I want to smell is tuna and sweet corn pasta. It's not for me. Like, honest to God,
the sweet corn don't help either.
But it's futile. It's pointless. It's so.
Do you like it though? Do you like tuna?
No.
You don't like it at all?
Oh no.
Or sweet corn.
I like sweet corn, but it is pointless. It doesn't do anything for you. It just goes in one hole and comes out.
For fuck's sake.
But it does.
I can't.
But no, tuna is like a massive no-go.
I can't relate. That was like a staple.
You're telling me you whack open a can of tuna and go, that smells absolutely insane.
I would actually say, like, that is probably one of my fears. Once at uni, I've got a funny story. Once at uni, I went to like open a tin of tuna. Because I was a stupid like 18-year-old that literally had no culinary or life skills at all. I ripped open the tuna, right? And then with my hand, gripped around the tin of tuna, right? Literally didn't realise how sharp it was, gripped onto the whole thing, and then went to rip the rest of it.
Oh my god!
And I shit you not, the tuna tin literally sliced through the whole hand. Like, it's actually seriously sharp. Like, and I gripped onto it as hard as I could because I wanted to rip it off. And literally, the skin on my hand was like flapping off, and there was fucking blood everywhere. It was bad.
That really made me go funny. Oh,
I was standing there, my housemate, like, fuck, like, Jesus. And I was like running it under a tap, and he's sort of standing there looking at me, and he's going, oh, I feel a bit faint, you know. And I'm like, you feel a bit faint. So I'm like, got one hand in the sink like that, and the other hand trying to grab a dining room chair, because he's like now on the side of the kitchen thing, and he's going, like he's about to black out. Like, he's going, golly, no. I feel a bit faint here, and I can see him slowly lowering himself to the floor like that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I've got one hand under the sink like that, the other hand grabbing the dining room chair like that, and I'm kind of like bringing it over like with my foot, and then he sat down like, and he's like, oh thanks mate, I feel much better now. And I'm like, are you being serious right now?
that is rough.
So every time now I open a tin of tuna, I get Vietnam flashbacks to that day, and I'm like, I look at it and I'm like,
Do you know what also really freaks me out about opening a tin of tuna? The brine, right?
And you've got to like drain it out. I only go drainless now. I don't.
By the way, sorry, if anyone's got any fears of like people making gagging noises, which I have just done, I do apologise if you're now throwing up listening to this podcast. Nah, that's not for me.
Oh yeah, draining the sunflower oil brine from tuna. I don't fuck with it anymore.
Do you know what though? Like the word tuna makes me angry. So when people are like, I'm having tuna, it makes me angry. It starts really boiling my blood. I'm like, why? What are you doing? Get it away from me.
It is really nice though.
It's not.
It is.
I've had it.
It's really
not.
nice.
I had it, yeah, when I was at school, right? And we did like fish cakes with it. And I was like, I hate tuna. And she was like, try it. She being my teacher. And I'm sitting there like I was being peeved, like it was a punishment. And I put it in my mouth. Honestly, I thought I was going to throw up in the sink. It's straight back. It's just not okay. It's really not okay. So yeah, I mean, people have always said, what about a fillet of tuna? And I'm like, still don't think it's for me. But
I mean, jacket potato and tuna.
Oh my god, no!
Salad and like coleslaw. That's one of my favourite things to eat.
Oh,
That is
honestly nothing. You can't persuade me on this.
Or tuna pasta bake. Get a nice bit of baked tuna in the oven.
Right, can we move on? Let's move on to that because it's actually making me feel a bit ill. Cool. What are your fears then? Other than that,
Other than
other than flashback.
On the topic of food, I would say I had a bit of a fear of a certain food for like a seriously long time.
Really?
This podcast has taken a bit. This is about to take another bit of a turn.
Oh no!
But once I had a bit of spam when I was little.
I've never had spam.
You know what it is though, right?
Yeah.
It's like canned ham.
Yeah.
I used to absolutely love it.
Really?
Like it used to, when I was little and like going through primary school and stuff, it used to be all I'd ever want to eat for lunch. It would be like a cucumber and spam sandwich. It was like my favourite thing in the world. I just remember once sitting in the back of the car on like a long car journey, whacked out my favourite ever like spam sandwich, and I ate a bit of it, and I was already feeling a little bit car sick anyway, and my dad's directly in front of me.
Oh no!
Driving the car, and I've taken down the whole sandwich. Gone like, that is one of the most best things I've ever tasted. And then 10 seconds later, I've just projectile vomited straight into the front of the car. Straight into the back of my dad, who's now driving the car, like, swerving over the road. And honestly, just that memory, the thought of that, I had to like pull over, like it was a crime scene. And since that day, like if anyone opens a bit of spam or I see a bit of spam, it makes me gag. It makes me start to feel sick again because of like just that memory. I don't want to go into the specifics on it.
That's fair enough.
It's a dark one.
Yeah, I don't think I will.
It's horrible.
I don't know. Well, anything else though, like not food ones? Have you got anything that you're like, oh, that really, really freaks me out?
The dark.
Does it?
I sound pretty good with
animals. You the light on?
At my big old age. I do not sleep with the light on, no. As in, it's like when you're out, you don't know where you are, right, and it's pitch black, and you literally can't see anything. That's when I get a little bit scared.
Right, okay.
So I get a little bit shaky.
So a little bit of shaky.
But I think that comes from my friend at uni.
Right.
He used to scare me.
Do you know what? Now you said that, I remember once, you were at mine, you stayed at mine one night, and we were watching Insidious,
shit out of me.
And you were on the top bed, and I was on the bottom bed, and we were watching Insidious, and I was like, ah, and you shit yourself. But I've never seen anything like it.
Was it pitch black?
Yeah, we were watching Insidious in the dark, and you could absolutely catch your pants. Oh, I remember that. So
do you remember? Do you remember the gnome game in the dark?
Oh, the gnome game. That was different. For those of you that don't know the gnome game, and for those of you that haven't played the gnome game, you should. Basically, the gnome game was, we used to have like, my room now used to be like the games room, and we had this gnome. Well, it wasn't a gnome, it was one of the 7 dwarfs from Snow White, and it was like a toy. And someone would stand at the door, and you'd have like 3 seconds to find a hiding space in this room, which isn't like, it's not a big room, but people are going to be thinking this is like one of them things, you know, where you like spin the bottle and then like they pick the egg up and launch it something. Like, we are literally in a room that is probably like,
it's half the size of this.
5 meters long. Anyway, so us at our big ages of 11 would just turn around and launch his gnome at people, and it was just...
It was the most exhilarating thing there.
Oh, it got your heart.
Because there wasn't exactly anywhere to hide either.
No, it wasn't.
It was just like an open room. And as soon as that light turned off, you were like ducking for cover behind anything you could find.
It was like 1, 2,
get a plastic
3.
gnome.
And as soon as that light came back on, that was it. It was life or death.
But so that might have been where it started.
Mm-hmm.
But not really, because that was quite fun. But at uni, I used to, like, one of my like best mates, he used to scare me. So he used to, when I needed to go to the toilet, obviously you turn the lights off in the house at night with students, can't leave the lights on. So it's literally pitch black, right? And it used to like scare me a bit anyway, because I didn't really like the dark. Right, I was like, I'm only just walking to the toilet, so I'm going to be fine.
Right.
But he would listen to me, open my door, and he'd go, oh right, he's going to the toilet. Whilst I'm on the toilet, he'd then creep out of his room, wait outside the toilet, or wait in my room, or on the stairs. He would mix it up, so I never know what was coming. But as soon as I opened it, pitch black, and go, rah! And I would literally shit myself. Like,
I'd be on edge the whole time.
It was horrible. It was genuinely horrible. Like, it wasn't even funny. Honestly, if I've been listening to this, it was not funny. I did not find it funny.
That reminds me so that I have much. So I was on a contract right down in Portsmouth, and we'd finished the show, and then we had like a horror night. So we like all went around one of the, because you get like digs, so like you like all like stay together and whatever. We went to one of the guys' digs, sat there, watched the horror film and stuff, and then this guy cannot deal with like being scared. So we all left, and then we were like, let's go back. We'll get one of the girls to open the door, and we'll rush him. And while he's asleep, and we got into the house, and we ran into this room, and I think he nearly died. Like, he honestly absolutely cacked his pants, and I was like, oh my god, it was one of the funniest things. But I do enjoy scaring people. I'm a bit bit of a bastard for that. I love scaring people.
You do.
So funny.
I mean, it got to a point where I used to like text him. I used to hold going to the toilet, right? I'd get into bed.
Wait till he's asleep.
It's how genuinely petrified I was. Because it was horrible. Like, I used to open the door and I'd karate kick, bang. Straight out, honestly, if I caught him, I would not care. I used to open the door of the toilet and I'd be like out, right, running out. I'd literally open the door and I'd sprint down the hallway into my room. And then he'd either be like under the covers or in my wardrobe, just poof. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I used to hold it. I used to need to toilet, but I used to go, I'm not going until like 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's crazy because holding your wee is not a nice feeling.
No.
I hate that feeling.
I went on a coach trip to Croatia once on an American football tour, and it was a 32-hour coach journey. And after, as you can imagine, it was a pretty like rowdy coach journey. And after about 2 hours, the toilet's clogged, completely fucked, and no one could go to the toilet. Like, we'd ran out of bottles.
Oh my!
Yeah, that was the first thing people were doing at the back of the coach, like trying to go the bottles. We'd ran out. The guy wasn't stopping for like another 8 hours or something. And obviously, because you've been drinking, it's like
breaking the seal.
Yeah,
that's
it was
dangerous.
Yeah, so I really needed to go, and I had to hold it for probably like 10 hours. I couldn't sleep because I needed to go that bad.
That's
My
pain.
brain was like
It's
constantly
pain.
going down.
It's actually pain.
It was horrible.
So your biggest fear is the dark.
Out of like all of your like genuine fears, I'd say
mine would be not tune. Like tune, I can't say tune is my biggest fear, but I would say snakes They do scare me. I would give a close second to squirrels because I got tapped by a squirrel once. That wasn't fun. I was in SeaWorld in Florida, right?
What's a squirrel doing at SeaWorld?
They're all wild squirrels, mate. And I was literally just sat there, right, eating my cookies and milk, like drinking my chocolate milk. And Mum was like, be careful, there's a squirrel behind you. And I was like, that's a good one. Next thing I know, this squirrel jumped on my shoulders, stole my cookie, and I've got scared. My chocolate milk's fallen on the floor, so I've lost what I was eating and drinking. And cookies and chocolate milk out there are the nuts. Lost that. This squirrel's like attacked me, like scratched me, and I just cried. And I just remember sitting in zero, like crying my eyes out. And for like a week after, I had like scratch marks on the shoulders. And I never, every time I see a squirrel now, I walk the other way.
You walk the other way?
I get scared.
You cross the road?
No, I honestly don't like squirrels. They scare me. They scare me a lot. So yeah.
I think I'm really like an actual, genuine fear that I have. Like, I'd say I'm pretty good with like animals.
Wow.
I'd say maybe like a close second would be maybe the ocean.
I'll tell you what,
like
the ocean's a scary place.
I don't mind it here in this country because you're like, it's probably nothing here.
That reminds me of something so funny. So me and my mates from college went to Paphos, right? And we took this like pedal out, and we probably shouldn't. You don't have 4 people there and like there's 5 and you just go. Because they don't really care out there. Like, you've paid €50, whatever it is, just go. Yeah. So like, alright, sweet. Took it out, and my mate had bought like a snorkel thing. So he put his goggles on, right? And he's gone, I'm gonna go down the slide, like head first. And he'd gone in, and he popped back out, and he was like, oh my god! I just absolutely just petrified. He was like, no, it's different gravy down there, like it's not okay. And he's jumping back onto the boat, like getting us to pull him on and everything. And terrifying. So me and my mate, who were really good swimmers, were like, we'll do it. And I can't lie, I went under and I was like, took my breath away a bit. I was like, that's a bit scary.
What was under?
No, it's just so deep, but you can see the whole way down. You think, I could be a goner here. If a shark comes or something, I'm gone. Yeah. And you're halfway out into the water, like, because you pedalled out. You can't pedal, otherwise it's too shallow. And yeah, it was terrifying. Then we got our mate to do it who can't swim. He actually can't swim. So like we put one of the other boys.
Just pushed him out.
We put one of the
just slowly sinking down to the bottom.
But we taught him to swim the day before on holiday. So we taught him in the swimming pool. We were like, you can swim. So me and my mate, who were the strongest swimmers, sat there behind the ladder and we put our other mate into the water. Now we think about it, we spoke about it after, like, why did we do that? Because one of us should have been walked through the strongest swimmer. Anyway, so he's gone in and he started panicking. and this wave just comes over and jumps him. Yeah, so he's lost all confidence. He's grabbed my mate in front of him, pushed him under, and just jumped onto this boat. And he was like, that was terrifying. But that was, I do think the sea's a scary place, a really scary place. It is really, when you think about it. The amount of stuff that's under there, and you don't know how deep it is or anything.
To be fair, like things like shark attacks and stuff, they happen very rarely.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not taking my chances on it.
Nah.
Like a shark. Like, especially when you can't, I think it's worse when you can't see
I do.
under the water.
Yeah.
And it's like a black sea, like a dark ocean kind of thing.
Southend.
A bit like Southend, actually. But with a bit more wildlife
Yeah,
in there,
no, I
maybe.
hear that.
That would like seriously creep me out.
That is a bit weird.
I mean, I've been swimming before with like whale sharks and
Oh.
like manta rays and stuff like that. Like being actually snorkeling on top, and the whale sharks are swimming underneath you. That is like mental.
Yeah, no, that's not.
They're like the biggest like mammals in the world or something crazy like that, and you're just like
Swimming above one.
probably 10 meters
Yeah, that's
above
not
one.
okay. It's not
And like
right.
massive killer stingrays are like, I don't know if manta rays kill people actually. Actually, no, I think one killed Steve Irwin.
Oh, right.
I
What a
might
man.
have to fact check that
What a
actually.
man.
But I think he was killed by a
It
similar,
was a sting. It was a form of ray.
Yeah, I think it was a similar thing. I'm not actually sure now I've said that, because then I'll let
It was
people
a,
swim with
it
them.
was a form of ray.
It was a form of ray.
I don't know what ray, but it was.
But that freaks me out. I mean, that was like one of the best things I've ever done. But then I was like, do you know what? There's actually a lot of stuff in this sea that I'm
There's a
just,
lot
like,
of things people have fears of, but
around in.
yeah, I do think like snakes is quite a big one for a lot of people. People don't like snakes.
Yeah, spiders.
Yeah, which I don't mind spiders at all. I'll pick them up when I see them. Don't really bother me. But then
We
like
don't
with the
really
ocean
like-
and stuff, I do think that's kind of.
To be fair, we don't really live in a country where we get spiders, do we? We just get
No, we don't.
like
We just get,
house spiders
little
and
house
stuff like
ones.
that.
They're tiny.
If
But
we
get
lived in
fat
like
tarantula or something.
Australia or something. But then they're not bothered either, because you see videos on Facebook
Yeah.
of them like just videoing it in the corner
They
of
get
the room.
snakes and stuff like mad out there though. That would freak me out massively. Like walking to get my car and there's a snake in the garage. That's not for me. Cool. Right, stresses. I'm a stress head. So anything stresses me out, to be honest. Like if I have work to do, that stresses me out because I haven't done it yet. When it's completed, I'm fine, but like, yeah, stresses me out. So my biggest stress is, if I think someone's annoyed at me, it'll massively stress me out. So I'll then like have to like ping off their phone and be like, can we just talk? Like, what? About what? I'll be like, I didn't know whether this had happened. Like, I don't know if you're annoyed at me for like, I could have said something really just like silly and then overthought it. I overthink a lot, I think. So that kind of links in with not being liked. I don't like people not liking me unless they've got a valid reason for it. I actually know that as a person, I'm a bit like Marmite. You either love me or you hate me. So I think that one actually was probably from a few years ago when I was quite insecure about who I like, how I acted as a person. So now I don't think that one actually really counts. One of my biggest stresses is money. Money stresses me out a lot. Just because I don't know, I've always been stressed about money. It's like, I don't like spending money, because I do like spending money, and when I do like go out and do things, I think, oh, I had such a good time. But like the thought of, I don't know how to put it, and also like when I don't, because as a freelancer, you don't always get paid like straight away. So like everyone has a payday on the last Friday of the month, yeah? I don't. So I'll send an invoice off and I could be waiting a day for it, or I could wait 3 weeks for it. So I could then go through like 3 weeks of a month without being paid. So then that's a struggle, and that stresses me out.
You just don't know when it's going to come, do you?
Yeah, and that puts me on edge. If I knew when it was going to come, I'd be able to budget it. But then I'm like, well, what am I budgeting for? Like, because I don't know when it's coming. So how long do I have to budget for? So that stresses me out. And also, I thought I'd link one to my job. Learning lines. Learning lines really stresses me out because, and I think I know where it comes from. When I was in Matilda, one night I forgot my lines. Like, they just went out my head, and I remember it so clearly. So we'd had a big note session before the show, and I was like, right, okay. And as I was delivering this monologue, the notes were coming through my head, and I was like, right, I've now got to do that. And I went to say my next line, and the note was in my head and not my line.
Had a complete
And
mind
I was
blank.
like, it's gone. I don't know where that line is, but it's gone.
Was this in front of?
This was like, yeah,
Like a
show.
live-
Yeah.
in the actual show?
Yeah. Like this was, I think the note session was after the matinee, something like that, or we'd come in early for a notes like clean up call sort of thing, and that happened. And then ever since then, I've always just remembered like, anytime I'm about to go on stage, it could be one line or it could be a monologue, and I will just be repeating it through. Like, yeah, crazy. But I know a lot of people that are like that.
I don't know how I'd actually like deal with that. That sounds stressful. I feel stress.
I remember, and it
just
was
thinking about
so it was
that.
Bruce's scene where like he then eats the cake and stuff, and I remember eating the cake and crying into the cake because I'd forgotten my line, and I was like, oh my god, I've forgotten my line.
Oh.
And then it actually worked quite well because it was like traumatic scene for Bruce, and then Trunchbull takes him to the chokey, and I was like the headmaster takes him to the chokey because he's eating all the cake.
What's the chokey?
It's in Matilda, it like big like cupboard that she chucks naughty kids in. Yeah,
It's called the chokey.
so then like I was so upset that I'd forgotten my lines that as she took me off, I was running off crying. Whoever was watching the show that night must have thought he's sick. He's given 110% to that. But I just forgot my lines and I was distraught about it. And I came off stage absolutely.
So like what? So you said your line, and then you went to say the next line and just completely forgot. Surely there was some sort of like dead silence throughout. What actually happened?
Which seemed like a lifetime. And I just remember going.
So like you kind of like went to the audience to say the rest of your.
I'm pretty sure it went. And I look like I stole the cake, and honestly, I was really definitely sort.
I love how you.
And I remember I can only, me and my friends do it all the time. Like if we ever meet up, like for Matilda or anything, like I could actually probably, if someone called me upstairs and went, "Go on as Bruce tonight,"
You
I'd be able to do it.
Other than
Yeah,
what was the line you forgot?
He does like this thing where it's like, okay, I was really definitely sort of almost thinking about owning up, maybe. I think it was then, but the thing was I was having a lot of trouble with my belly, and I was like, but the thing was I was and I was like, yeah, but I obviously didn't go to do it.
So you kind of like splurted something out eventually.
And I think this is what happened. I was like, maybe, and the thing was, and it was like just a really big stutter.
Yeah. But you still kind of got something out.
But to remember that 11 years later, like that's how long it plays with you.
The thing is though, because everyone knows that you fluffed it.
Yeah.
Because everyone else knows like the lines, right? Surely, because otherwise then
Not the audience, they don't know.
No, the people you're working with,
yeah.
like the other actors, because
Yeah.
they've got to know what you're going to say, so then they know.
No, because this was
Like
a break.
what to
This
say.
was a break in the fourth wall monologue thing. So basically, it's like we're like in
yeah,
it,
of
and then you
course.
turn to the audience. You're like, listen, okay, I'm going to tell you lot. I'm going to tell you lot, and what am I going to tell you lot? So yeah,
Traumatizing.
no, I do get stressed about learning lines. Like for the show that I'm doing next week, it's like I had my script through, and I was like, right, learn them, and I learned the whole script in like 4 days. And
Is that how you kind of dealt with it going forward?
and yeah, and now every day I run my lines. I run my lines every single day without fail.
But then I just feel like sometimes even like when you prepare loads, like
Yeah, you
people
can.
just have slip ups, don't
Yeah,
they?
of course you do. But I just like to feel as prepared as possible. You never know what's going to
to.
It's live theatre, you never know what's going to happen. You never, and as for the character that I'm about to play as well, like so much audience interaction, you don't know what reaction you're going to get. So it's going to be a massive, massive challenge for me. But I'm really excited for it.
Interaction in Panto,
I think,
surely.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
he's behind you. Like,
And I think I'll learn so much from it, so I'm really excited. But yeah, they're
it.
kind of like my biggest stresses. I don't like people being annoyed at me. That stresses me out. I have to if something's happened, I have to know everything about what's happened, and I have to sort it out there and then. Not we'll talk about it later, because I'll sit there all day like I'm waiting for this phone to go. Like, I'm waiting to sort this out.
I feel like you hate waiting for things.
Yeah, I do.
And you hate not knowing
Yeah, I do.
when something's coming or what is about to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that is like the underlying theme of all of your stresses and fears, isn't it?
Yeah. Money does stress me out. Just because I don't like being stressed about money. I just want to be comfortable with money. That's one of my biggest things about like later on in life when I've had a successful career and stuff. I just want to be comfortable. I don't want to have to be like, going out, seeing my mates and saying, and then being like, okay, how much have I spent that night? I just want to be like, yeah, that was fun. Do you know what I mean? And then just crack on with the rest of my life or the week.
Not have to worry about it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So that, and then, yeah, probably them. What about you?
I'd say probably the biggest stress that I've ever had would probably be money as well. I'd say the first time I ever experienced stress in my life, I'd say I had a pretty chilled life.
Yeah.
Until I went to uni and had like an overdraft.
Right.
The first year I had a lot saved anyway, and like family members had given me money, so I kind of had a bit like extra cash in the bank.
Cool.
So I could kind of like be pretty free with it, which thinking back I probably would be a bit more like
reserved about it
now. And then the second year came around and I still had a little bit of that money, so I was still kind of being a bit free with it. Third year came around and I had a lot more to pay out for, like I had more outgoings, rent was higher, I had American football stuff to pay out for, and all of my savings were gone now at this point. And I was living off £340 a month, is what I was living off, which wasn't like unrealistic.
Yeah.
But like with how active I was and what I was doing, like it was.
If you're going out and spending £100 on a night out.
And I would.
Yeah.
And now I'd be like, I'm gonna laugh. And then now I have like 5 times as much money.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't spend like I did then, with 5 times less. But every month I'd go just a little bit deeper into the overdraft. I go a little bit deeper, until around the back end of the third year when I'd racked up about a £2,000 overdraft at this point. And
I've never touched my overdraft.
really?
Because I'm self-employed and I do my accounts all the time. And my mum's always, when my mum was teaching me about it, she was like, never touch your overdraft. How much, like, not that she drilled me about it, she was like, just don't do it because it doesn't, like when you then have to like talk to the bank about you being in your overdraft or whatever, and then sometimes you have to pay interest on an overdraft and stuff like that. Like, she was like, just don't do it. So I was like, fair enough, and I never have. Because that, I think that would massively stress me out.
I mean, at the time it was a student account, so it was a interest-free overdraft for like 5 years. I've still got an interest-free overdraft now because I've now got a graduate account. So I was kind of, at the time I was kind of like, well, it's interest-free. Like,
it's free money.
It's free money. And I used to have the worst money mindset. Like my friends at uni would tell you, I used to get like a meal deal that'd be £3. It's going full circle, this podcast. Yeah. And I'd be like, well, it's basically free. Like, it's only £3, and I'd do little transactions like that all the time.
See, that's crazy because I'm the opposite. I'd be like, oh my god, I just spent £3. Like, I used to be so like, that's what I mean. I'm actually less stressed about money now than I say I was even at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Like,
I've learned a lot over the last few months.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like money is just money. But I have this conversation with my friends a lot because we talk about like in our industry as well, there are some jobs that are really well paid, some jobs that aren't really well paid, and they're like, do you take that because, like, do you take that pay cut from what you're getting to do the job? And it's like, firstly, that should never be a conversation. You shouldn't really have to have that conversation. But also, like, when you think of money, why, when you get to like later on in life, why do you then, like, why right now do we stress about money? I don't know how to word this. So like, the conversation we always have is money returns. That's point number one. And also, the other one is I could die tomorrow.
These two schools of thought, you mean?
So like, when we sit there and we're like, oh my god, like, I've literally got like X amount of money left in my account. I don't know when I'm next being paid or whatever, or I'm out of a job at the moment because as performers we can be out of jobs for a while. Like, what do I do? And it's all about just balancing it. And you have to balance it because if you don't, then it gets really stressful. And sometimes it's out of your control. But I think now I'm at the mindset where I'm like, I've figured out how to budget my wages properly. So like, I'll put some into my savings, then my rent, and then the rest of it, like we said the other day, would be like, what was that quote you said? save what you
spend what you don't save instead of save what you don't spend.
Yeah, so like I'll do all my saving at the beginning of the month when I get paid.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is just what I have left. And then if I'm skint, that's my fault. But I don't ever want to be like that.
Yeah.
As in, like, I don't ever want to be skint. I want to still have money.
I mean, I used to, like, when I had that £2,000 overdraft at uni, I was one, justifying it with it's interest free, and I was two, justifying it with, well, I had a full-time job lined up when I left uni already, so I didn't have that that issue of leaving uni with loads of debt, because I knew, well, after a month of working, I can pay off that overdraft, which I did in the end. It only took 1 or 2 months of work to then just completely free my debts, which is very fortunate. But the stress used to build up because I used to just turn a blind eye to the problem. I used to never check my bank account.
Did you not?
So I would, because I'm just out of sight, out of mind, isn't it? And it is a very not healthy way to manage your money.
No, that's like that's like when you've been on a night out and then you look at your bank account the next morning. You're like, okay, so how much did I blow?
But it's actually pretty common for like people to go, oh, I'm not checking my bank account after a night out. Like people say it, don't they? Like if you've spoken to someone, they go, oh, I'm not checking my bank account, because they're like, I don't want to.
You're going to have to look eventually though, and I'd rather get out of the way because I think about it too much.
But I wouldn't. I'd go a whole month without checking because I was so stressed about what it might say. And ultimately it comes down to your stresses that you have about money is about, the stress arises when what you see in your bank account doesn't meet your expectation or doesn't meet where you want it to be. Yeah. So if the money in your bank account isn't where you want it to be, and you're purposely avoiding it because you know it's not where you want to be, and that's when the stress comes from. And it creates this like negative mindset around money where you're berating yourself because you're like, I don't have as much money as I perhaps want, but I'm also not going to do anything about it, and I'm just going to run away from the issue. So how I dealt with it going forwards was checking it. So I check my bank account every day. Yeah. Even if I don't, this is only a recent thing in the last few months, because I was still having similar issues. Even though now I'm earning a lot more money, I was still spending lots of money, and I was still, like, my Monzo notifications were going up and up and up, and I was still ignoring it. But now, even if I don't spend any money...
Do you have Apple Pay?
Yeah.
Do you? See, I don't. Just because when I spend money, I'm like, I have to get my card out to do that. So if I was just on my phone like tap, 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 I'd wake up the next day. Granted, now you come up on my banking account anyway, it comes up with like pending, so I always know what I spent if I wanted to check. But when I got rid of my Apple Pay, I think it was when I just turned 18, and I was going out and I was like bang, 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 and I was like, get rid. It's not good for me. I was waking up the next day like, oh my god, because it takes then it took like 3 days to show what you spend. And I'm sitting there for 3 days going, oh my god, have I got any money? Like, it really stressed me out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we kind of both have a common stress about fear then, or have had.
I'd say so.
I think it's been dealt with quite well.
I'd say, yeah, I've definitely learned a lot about money over the last 6 months or so. One of them was checking it every day, because I want to give myself, if you're scared of something, the best thing you can do is give exposure to what you're scared of. And I was scared of checking my bank account. The second thing I'd done was stop berating myself. Yeah. Stop being negative and talking to yourself in a negative way about the money that you have. Yeah. Instead, I now look at it as I'm grateful for the money that I do earn, so I'm going to treat it well. Yeah. I'll make like a calculated decision on how I'm going to spend my money. Right. And almost like what you're doing with when you get rid of Apple Pay and take the card out of your wallet, you're giving yourself that second thought, aren't you? Because you have to bring attention to it, and you're having to then have this thought of, am I going to do it or not? When it's on the phone, there's no thought.
No, there isn't. It's just that.
But I don't, obviously I still have Apple Pay just for the convenience, but I'll always still take that second thought and think, is this benefiting me? Like, do I really need this?
And now there's that thing that
could I be better prepared for this situation? Like buying lunch and stuff like that at work. I don't do it anymore because
you used to.
I used to.
Every
It's
day.
now realised, every day. But I've now realised it's cheaper just to buy like really cheap chicken or something.
Yeah, just
rice, which is like 20p, and just make that for the week.
Yeah, 100%.
So be kind with your money.
Yeah.
And in turn, be kind to yourself.
There's that thing that I see at the moment.
It's how I get around it.
And it's like, because everything is now on like your mobile banking and stuff, whatever you see on that is how much money you have. So then cash is free money.
I'm bad at that actually.
Like
I
if you've
think that.
got 20 quid in your wallet, cash, think that's not in my account, so that's actually free money.
It's like a surplus, isn't it?
Go on, that's free money. But it's not. But like I think we now think like that, which I think is crazy. But it is what it is.
Cash won't be around forever.
No,
it will go eventually, and we won't have that problem. That's probably us just running away from it.
No, yeah, I think it definitely is. It definitely is. So we're now going to lead on from that and just talk about why we think they're important. Fears. You came up with that point, which I'm intrigued to hear why you think they're important and how you deal with them. So why do you think that fears are important?
Because I think whenever you get scared of something, it's normally because really, and I'm not talking spiders, snakes, this sort of thing.
The fear of.
I'm talking your fear of being judged by someone else, or the fear of like failure.
I missed a massive one. The fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, we have kind of talked about
that. Yeah, we
have.
have.
And it's almost like an
But that just reminded me that I definitely have
go back to. But those sort of fears, it's a personal fear, not like a fear of a tangible fear. It's a personal fear.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I always think that comes around because really, it's something you actually care about, and you're getting that fear about it because you want to be better in that
I've never thought
respect. You want. It's almost like. When I get scared of something, so I'm quite a self-conscious person, and whenever I get a bit of a fear come up of being judged by someone else, or I start to feel that sort of anxiety, that self-consciousness, I have a think and I think, well, what do I actually want to be doing?
Yeah.
Is this fear actually helping me here, or is it almost like my ego trying to hold me back and keep me in that kind of comfort zone?
So you learn from them, really.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I get scared about something now, or I get nervous or fearful, like starting this podcast, I think you're actually on the verge of something here. You're either going to succumb to this fear.
Fly or fly.
You're either going to succumb to this fear. And you're going to come back down into this level of comfort where you're not really growing, or you're going to sort of fight this fear and you're going to fight through it, expose yourself to it, and at the end of it you will grow as a person and grow in your like development. So that's why I think it's important. I look at it now as not a negative thing but more of a positive challenge. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't make it any harder to actually cope with, but it sets the intention as a positive one from the start.
Right. So it's your outlook on it.
So that's why I think fears are important, because you're on the brink of levelling up to something.
And also, if you're trying to deal with a fear, it's quite rewarding actually when you've dealt with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, like that kind of comes in with nerves and stuff, which I deal with all the time.
Yeah, which is also like a form of like being scared, isn't it? Being fearful, like when you get
fair enough.
When you get nervous, do it. Like everyone gets, like probably before a big show, everyone gets a little bit fearful, a little bit nervous, but you don't just turn around and walk off.
No, as I said earlier in the series, I was like, I mean, my nan used to say it to me all the time, and it's just a common thing. Like the day you stop getting nervous for a show is the day you should give it up. Because it's the day you stop caring about it. Yeah. Which is why fears really, when you get down to the deep inner reason why you're scared of something, is because you actually care about it, and you want to. Your internal dialogue that you've told yourself for years and years and years is that I actually want to be better at doing this, or actually I care about this. That's true, and that could come with anything. Like my mate went on a first date the other day. He was like, "I'm really nervous," and I was like, "Because you care." Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Exactly, and are you gonna lean into that fear? Yeah, that makes so much sense. And actually, like, discover something, or on the verge of like a new relationship that you might create with someone, or you're gonna let that fear consume you, or back down from it, and then always kind of
that fear, the more times you back away from the fear,
Yeah.
it builds up and up and up and up,
Yeah.
and it gets harder to cross it, because in your like subconscious thought, when that fear comes up, the more times you back down, the stronger that reaction to it will get in your mind, and it'll just become then a habit for you to back away from dates. It'll become a habit for you to back away from voicing your opinion in groups, and that sort of thing. The more times you do it and it happens, you'll then the reaction will be so much stronger, and it'll become so much more instantaneous, and you'll go, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because for the last,
you'll be more confident in it.
The last 23 years, you've gone, no, I don't do that because I'm scared of it. I'm fearful of it.
So that, you know what? Fair play. That's the importance of fears.
That's why I think it's important.
Learn a lot from it. Okay, so let's try and sum this up. How would you deal with a fear? Let's do one each. So if you were to have a fear, when you get nervous or you get, oh my god, this is really scary, how do you deal with it?
I'll create some exposure to it.
Okay.
So I'm not saying like with my bank account, for example, I was scared and fearful of checking it.
Yeah.
So I started checking it every day.
Right.
That sort of thing. I used to be quite like body self-conscious.
Yeah.
So then I used to start taking more photos of myself, and I'm not going and like throwing these to thousands of people, but I would just keep it for myself. And I would just create a little bit of exposure to it, have it on my phone, photos like all the time, and you're just looking at it. And the more you look at it, that fear, and the more you expose yourself to it, the less and less harmful it feels.
Yeah.
And then eventually I might like, I don't know, on like a private Instagram or like a private story with friends where I feel supported, I'll expose myself a little bit more and lean into that fear a little bit more, and I might maybe share that like progress photo or something like that. And then maybe once I'm like, do you know what, that was actually, because a lot of the time when you do something like that, you're like, do you know what, I was actually really overthinking that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. A lot of the time that is the case.
Let's be honest, if it's something I care about and that I'm proud of, why do I then care about maybe what someone else thinks if I have a fear of judgment
100%
of others?
100%. So yours is exposure then? You deal with it?
Gradual exposure to the fear. Like if you're scared of snakes, you're not going to go jump in a pit of snakes, but you might pet one on the head.
Yeah.
You'd grade yourself like into it, and that can be like tangible fears like spiders and snakes, or it can be personal fears like being fear of public speaking or something. I'd do it to my mum and dad.
Right, okay.
Then I'd do it to my
that
friends.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
And I'd do it to a small group.
Do you know what? I think mine would be the same, except for mine would be some of these depends on what sort of fear we're going for. Most of not my fears, but the word in my brain right now is nerves and how I cope with nerves, and that is just by rehearsal. So you practice and you go over it and over it and over it. Don't over practice, but like you find out what works for you. So like I have a ritual for my audition day, like, and I follow that ritual every time I have an audition or like something like that. So routine of how you do it, as you spoke about in the last step, that works for me. But also I think if there is something that genuinely scares you to death, then I would suggest, I'm trying to come away from me and just do this as a general. I would say that gradually expose yourself to it if you wanted to overcome it, or just sometimes it is just best not to think about it and just like, I don't know, let's say you wanted to do a bungee jump but you're too scared to. You just sit and think, do you know what, fuck it, and you jump. And you jump. Because as soon as you've taken that leap, and I suppose that is kind of a bit with fears, when you've taken that leap, there's no going back because you're plummeting. You're going the whole way down. And it's only until you come back up that you realise you're okay. And I've done a bungee jump before.
Have you?
Yeah. And I was giving it I was giving it before I went on. I was like, light work, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. And I got up and I realised how high I was. I was like, I'm shitting myself. And they were like, what you can't do is bottle it. You have to jump, otherwise you'll probably hurt yourself. And I'd been giving it the talk the whole time, so I was like, if I don't give this a massive jump, I'm gonna look like a wet wipe. So I jumped, and there's a video of me, and I just scream the whole way down. The whole way down. But I think, yeah, you either slowly prepare yourself for it, you gradually involve yourself in it, or if it's something that you can do at the click of a finger, like if it is a fear of like holding a snake, you take a deep breath and you just do that. Or if it's like heights and you're up in the air, you just do it. And it might freak you out, but and then you go into like the whole breath control thing. So that's where I think, so you gradually do it. I just think, fuck it, do it.
And keep a mentality the whole time of you're being sort of kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, don't berate yourself.
Yeah,
That makes if you're scared and then you start beating yourself up,
Yeah.
that makes things so much worse. Be kind to yourself and accept the fact that it's okay to have fears, and use the positive mindset of fear, that fear is a challenge when you're on the verge of breaking through something.
100%.
Use those techniques of either sending it or grading yourself to it.
Cool.
And
And
that's
while we're
how
there,
you
actually,
conquer,
let's
I'd
talk
say.
about how you deal with stresses. How do you think that's the same sort of thing?
In the same way.
Yeah.
I'd class them as like same,
Yeah, which is why we kind of put them together,
the
really,
same
isn't it?
thing,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Cool. Right. Well, just to finish that little section off, we did a bit of research and just to because like everything has a name for it. The fear of it's like whatever. So I found one funny one, I think, and then some that I was like, oh wow, there's some big names for that. But I think Ollie thinks he's found some really funny ones from
We've picked it up
Reddit
now.
so they better be good. So I'll do mine first, just because they're pretty basic. Sorry. So this I won't be able to pronounce properly. Arithmophobia, whatever that means. Well, I know what it means, but I don't know how you pronounce it. Is the fear of peanut butter being stuck to the roof of your mouth. And I was like, who has sat there with that and gone, oh my God, I'm so scared of that. Like, that is freaking me out. And gone, that's the word for that. Like, what?
That's some sort of like Latin or something.
So that was one that I was like, wow.
I can understand that though. Have you ever eaten a sandwich
And it's stuck.
and it's stuck and you're like, and then it comes off and it's all like soggy
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah. No, yeah, I hear that.
So I can understand that.
Yeah. It wouldn't freak me out, but like I understand why.
Yeah.
It might freak some people out. And then I had nomophobia, which is the fear without your mobile phone, which leads from our last one, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
200 big arms is insane. Arithmophobia, the fear of numbers. I know. I mean, I've actually seen like clips of people have that, but I'm like, how can you see like?
As in, I get it that like it might be intimidating.
Or I'd actually back it. Maybe I used to have that with the number 13. I'm not like it anymore. But every time I saw the number 13, it would freak me out, and I'd be like, oh my God, my day's gonna be awful. Until I got my car and the number 13 was on the number plate, and I was like, maybe this is where my life changes. And it was, because then I just got used to it, and I was like, cool. And plutophobia is the fear of money, which I thought linked in quite nicely.
There you go.
So that was that. What are yours?
So I went for a slightly different approach. So you had the more a fear. This is a fear of. So I went onto Reddit, good old trusty Reddit, and I found people's like irrational fears. So the post was, "What is your most like weirdest irrational fears?" So a similar sort of thing.
Cool.
So one person said they have an irrational fear of pregnant women because every time I walk past them, I feel like I might accidentally nudge them and they'll fall over forwards.
So strange, but yeah.
It's a bit of a weird one. Can't say that's ever like
It's never crossed my mind.
but I can understand.
Yeah, I can understand, but I don't think maybe bumping into them. But
This was quite funny. The guy said he said, from a man who has a long hair and beard, sometimes when I feel like I'm putting my car head out of the window or have the window down in the car, some sort of dog, he feels like a hair might fall out of his hair or beard, end up falling onto a crime scene or dead body, and you might end up being a suspect.
Oh my god.
Does that unlock something?
That's crazy. That's actually mad.
It's a reach, I'd say.
That would never have entered my brain. That would never have entered my brain.
That's what I mean.
Put the
That's
window
why
down.
weird.
That's crazy. Fair play.
It's just very unlucky if your
Yeah,
your head.
yeah.
That's not going to hold up in court though, is it? That you're just driving by with your head out the window like some sort of Bichon Frise. This is one that I have actually said to you before, and I found it on the Reddit post, which made me feel like I'm not a complete weirdo. But it's when you go to the toilet in like a public place, like if you have to go do a number 2 in a public place, you just can't hold it, or at work or something like that. Not that I do that. And you sit down, lock the door, and then someone comes. You can hear someone walking towards the door, and then you're like, oh, they're coming, aren't they? And you're like, do I have enough time to get up, quickly check the door's locked, sit back down? But you don't have enough time. They come, they start going on the door handle, like shaking it, and you're like, have I locked it? Is it about to fling open? And you're literally there, like legs crossed, petrified.
That is one of the most demoralising things that ever happened to me. Like, I was on the CTC, I was on the train, I was sat there, and I was like, I have to go, so I went, and all of a sudden this door just opens, and I was like, brilliant. But then you have to take that awkward leap over to the button, legs crossed, just like pop. And then, sorry love,
just slowly.
Just give me another couple of minutes, and it's all happens in slow motion. Yeah, no,
awful. This is one we actually already touched on: the dark water and sea.
Yeah,
which was quite a weird fear. And I've actually heard someone say this to me before, but this person said, sometimes when I'm out in public, I forget how to walk, and sometimes I feel like I'm walking along and I become really self-conscious of how I'm walking, and I feel like I'm forgetting how to walk. Sometimes I find myself having to sit down, remind myself of my walking cycle, pick myself up, and start again.
Wow. That's crazy.
That is coming from a real fear of
that's
self-consciousness,
mental.
isn't it?
Because
let's be honest, everyone knows how to walk.
Yeah.
Everyone walks differently as well, so you just go and walk.
That's crazy.
But that person must be real.
Mate, that's rough.
Self-conscious.
Why would you even think that?
But yeah.
So that sums up fear and stress, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any fears or stresses that you feel like we could talk about or revisit, or that you would want to just get out, please do let us know. Do we want to touch this? I think that could be a big conversation, or do you want to just touch upon it before we move on to the viewer situation?
I meant viewer situation.
Straight on.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the viewer situation. We had this sent in from an anonymous person, and the question was, do you push forward with your dreams even though something could destroy it in the process?
It's a hard one.
It's really tough.
It's a tough one. I
have a straight answer, but I have an understanding answer as well. And it kind of links to what we said the other day. It might have been our first episode or second.
So do you push? I just don't understand the question. I've got confused.
So if you've got a dream, like your dream job or something, do you push forwards in pursuing that dream, even though there's something
or someone
that could destroy that in the process?
So that could get something or someone that could get in the way of you reaching your dream, or when while you're chasing that dream, they might hold you back, or not be happy with you chasing that dream.
I don't even know, because this is, again, it's quite a broad question, but it could even be someone who you've had an argument with being now, a jealousy thing where they're now you've gone there, I'm gonna ruin that for you.
Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty straight answer. I have a straight
answer. I say, of course you push forward with your dream and you go and chase that dream. And if someone does try and get in the way, you might, as the viewer now, your dream and this situation that's holding you back might actually not ever perspire to be anything. You could reach your dream and it could all dissolve out. So then you've wasted your time worrying about not pursuing that dream. Kind of links to what that first one was like, but on that question where we spoke about like, do you go for that promotion and stuff? You're gonna sit there and be like, what would have happened? What would I have done if I didn't do that?
And it is the worst.
You don't want to feel like that.
I would say that's actually one of my biggest fears.
Yeah. Looking back.
It's come full circle.
Yeah.
But I would say that 100%, one of the worst feelings in the world is what if.
Regret.
And regret.
And I think that all the time.
And let's be honest, like, if this is going through your head and you're thinking, should I push forward with this, even though this could destroy it, or this could not, this relationship or this thing that I have might not work. If you sit there and think about it, if it's not an instant fuck yeah, I want to do it, then it's probably not the answer. If you go, I want this dream, and then you go, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to do it, then you need to do it. Like, that is your gut reaction telling you that this is the best thing for me.
Without a doubt.
100%. I mean, that's how I make all my decisions, to be honest. If I'm dubious of something, if my first thought is, yeah, it's a really strong yeah, then I just go for it. Because the thought of not doing it and looking back and thinking, what if, is the worst thing imaginable. And if it's not meant to be with a particular relationship, then it's not, and that's okay. Or I'm struggling to think of other. It says something. I don't want to keep putting it as a someone.
Yeah, even though, but maybe if we approach it as something / someone.
Yeah.
But when you was talking then, something also in my brain is to be like, I've seen so much stuff on Twitter where it's like, well, you know, we briefly touched on like toxic exes and stuff. Yeah, like I've seen stuff online where it's like they've broken up and then they want after them, so they do anything to ruin their life. So in that situation, I still say the same. I still say you push forward for it, and then whatever happens, but like, I don't know, people can make stuff up and people can like exaggerate the truth or whatever, but you'll always know deep down what the situation was. Whoever this person is that has sent this question in, you'll always know deep down what the truth is. Yeah. And you'll also always know what your dream is. So, you know the truth and you know your dream. Chase your dream, and if you generally know, hand on heart, that you've done nothing wrong, yeah, then go for it. Because then if that was to ever come about, you've got your own back. You have got your own back. If it's something that could have maybe been a bit twisted or has gone like conflicted between two people, then that's a conversation that probably, it depends how long ago this is or when this was. If it's fresh, you should probably talk about it. If it's long gone and it's a sticky situation, I personally would just be like, it was ages ago, I'm just going to move on with my life and leave that chapter where it was. I mean,
if you don't chase that dream, for what if you don't chase that dream and you never achieve your vision of where you want to go, you're gonna eventually resent that something or someone, and you're gonna put so much resentment and blame towards them.
That's a very good point.
That you're gonna also probably lose them as well, or that something. So if you don't chase your dream, you're gonna lose your dream and you're gonna lose the someone or something at the end of the day. So what do you want to lose? Do you want to lose your dream and someone or something? It's a really weird way to phrase it. Or do you just want to lose this, whatever you're holding on to?
Yeah. That,
by the way you're phrasing this question, clearly seems like it's holding you back from what you.
Because it also depends on what this dream is. Like, is this dream? Is it a job? Is it a situation in life? Is it what is this dream? So you've got to then look at it and just think, do you know what? If this is my dream and I've worked damn hard to try and reach this dream, I've always said, do not let ever let anyone get in or anything get in the way of that. There's no point at all. You've worked too hard for it. Don't give up on it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I see in my mind the ultimate dream is doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do.
Yeah.
And if you've been telling yourself for a long time that this dream is what you want to get after, you need to do it. Because that resentment and feeling that you didn't do it and you could have will eat you away forever. And I think that everyone knows the answer to that question.
I think they do.
But it's very, very hard. I mean, I can
This
speak
word though is massive. Destroy. That's a powerful word. So do you know what? I would say chase your dream. And if this something or someone does come along and destroy it, there's also probably, well, I mean, I don't know this person, so I don't know what you're like as a person, but if you're a genuine person, just because that one thing has fallen through, if that has happened, actually, do you know what? Firstly, I think everything needs to be taken. If this person or this thing is really that toxic, you need to take yourself so far away from it that it then becomes two separate, almost planets. You're not even on the same planet. So then you work from that and then you go, right, okay, now I can get on with my life. They can get on with their life, and it's just two separate things. Or this thing. This is hard because we've got so many different words here that we have to work with, but they could all link off. It's like a massive tree, isn't it? But as a whole, if we were just going from that, do you push forward with your dreams even though something could destroy it in the process? My answer is yes.
Yes from me.
It's a yes from me. And on that note, whoever you are, never give up on your dream. Don't ever do that, because that is a really stupid thing to do. Chase your dream, live your dream, and whatever your dream is, we both hope that you reach that and succeed that. And I hope that if you ever do, you write back into this podcast and you say,
I mean, how amazing
that
would that
be
be?
amazing.
Like, how good would that be?
Keep
us in the loop.
Keep us in the
Keep
loop.
us in the loop, because we're here.
We're
here for you, whoever that person may be.
And we really hope that this all works out for you, no matter what it is. So, on that note, thank you for writing in, and we do hope that we helped you with that. It was very broad, but we tried to get as narrow into different types as we could. But yeah, on that note, we'll wrap it up there for episode 4. Fears and stresses with the old meal deal and the viewer question. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you next week. And we'll see you soon. Oh, also, remember to like, comment and subscribe. And also go onto the link tree for Ollie's Marathon. So
donate.
And donate. So we will see you next week. See you later, guys.